Hey everybody, welcome to the Ronline Report. Great guest today. She is a MuscleMeds athlete. She is, to my knowledge, the only IFBB pro figure professional who is also a professional powerlifter. Please welcome from Illinois, Julia DiPompeo. How are you, Julia?
I'm doing pretty great. I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, this is a new territory for me. I don't talk to a lot of powerlifters or even figure athletes, to be honest with you. It's a lot of
Right.
meat, a lot of meatheads I talk to. So tell me, I did a little bit of research. You were an athlete before this. So was it looked like tennis and marathons were the two things you were into before all this muscle stuff? How long did you play tennis for? How good were you?
I was pretty good. My parents had me playing pretty much as soon as I could hold a racket in my hand. And I went all the way through high school. And I was going to play in college, but then I actually just kind of went a different route. I thought I would want to go the ROTC route.
Oh,
Did it.
okay.
So I did that for a little bit, but realized that wasn't for me. And so I was kind of lost from there. I was like, well, still want to be an athlete. And then I just started running because that was
Wow.
pretty easy to figure out.
That's how Forrest Gump became a runner. One day he just started running, if you recall. It's an old movie.
Exactly. That was pretty much me. It was like, well, what
Yeah.
do I do now? And I was like, I'll just go run.
Yeah. So you actually ran marathons?
Yeah, I've ran two marathons. I've done a bunch of halves, other 10Ks. My dad was actually the one that got me into it. He always ran. And I don't know, I think I just have always had that kind of mentality of to work towards something crazy. So I was like, well, if I'm going to run, I'm going to run 26. Uh,
26.2. Wow, it's even more than
26.2.
so. This is I don't get a chance to talk to marathon runners very often. So here's the dopey questions part. Uh, how long are you sore after running a marathon? I'm just curious.
About a week, I
Yeah.
think. Yeah, it really only set me back about a week. Um, the worst was actually the second you're done with it,
Mm.
and then just trying to go about the rest of your day. And then as the week goes on, then but I've met some marathon runners that do one, and then the next week they're doing another, and no way.
Incredible. Yeah, I know. Like I'm in Boston. We have the Boston Marathon here, and they used to have these things, these events the day before where they would feed them like buckets of pasta and stuff. Did you have a, we carb up with the physique sports too, but did you have a carb up ritual for the marathons?
Oh yeah. I mean, and back then when I was running, my diet was 90% carbs at that point. The one marathon I did was local to where I live, and so one of the Italian restaurants actually sponsored a little pasta night for all the
Oh,
runners the night before.
nice.
So
Okay.
yeah.
So, what came first? Figure competition, powerlifting? Did they all start from weight training? Where did you go from running to get to all this?
So I was running so much that actually at the time, my dad said, you need to start doing some kind of strength training. He's like, you're going to hurt yourself if you don't balance out some of that, with running 20 plus miles. So he was the one to actually first kind of just show me around in the gym. And then I just started kind of printing off workouts that I found online, taught myself. And as I started getting into it, really, I was just like, oh, this is cool to be able to lift 5 pounds heavier than to shave 2 seconds off a mile time or whatever. So it started feeding a new addiction. And I started to get interested in the bigger lifts, the big three, squat, bench, and deadlift. Um, and I really started training powerlifting before I got on stage for bodybuilding. They were both kind of at the same time, but I had already kind of started training like a powerlifter before I started my first cut down for a show. And then once I did my first show, then I did my first powerlifting competition, and I've just been back and forth ever since.
Yeah, I mean, there's very few people that do both. I remember it was Johnny Jackson years ago. It was a huge deal that, and I think he only did deadlifts in the company. I don't think he did the full three power lifts, but him and Stan Efferding, it was a big deal that they would do powerlifting parts of the year and bodybuilding other parts of the year. So Have you been able to balance those? Because they're two very different endeavors with different types of preparation and everything. So at the beginning of every year, do you like pick out, I'm going to do this figure show, I'm going to do that powerlifting meet and sort of schedule it that way?
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much how it's been. The big three are always still part of my training regimen, no matter what. But if I'm cutting down for a bodybuilding show, I'm just cutting that weight way down, just doing that for reps. But really, I usually kind of first pick the bodybuilding show and really just see where I'm at. And pretty much as soon as I step off stage, then I'm already thinking about powerlifting again. And takes
Yeah.
just a little bit of time. You got to gain a little bit of weight back, fill out a little bit, and your body remembers and just ready to start
What
lifting
is
heavy.
what weight class do you compete at in powerlifting, and what do you typically weigh on stage for pro figure?
So I compete at 165 in powerlifting. And this past year, I was just under 150 on stage.
Okay. I'm guessing you must be like 5'6", 5'8", somewhere in that range.
5'7".
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. I didn't think you were looking at you. I don't think you're 5'2" and competing at 165, but you never know.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
so before we get into the figure stuff, people always love to hear the strength, the numbers and stuff because they can relate to that a little bit better. Most of the people who consider themselves bodybuilders, they still want to be strong and they want to be strong in the three lifts. So what are your three best? What's your best bench? What's your best squat? What's your best deadlift in competition so far?
In competition, my best squat is 440. Bench is 235, and then deadlift in competition is 435.
Cool. I'm curious. I know the bench shirts are a big topic with the guys. Some the raw guys say, these are that's all the shirts do would have to work for them, everything. Where do you stand on that? And do the female powerlifters wear those? 'Cause those things look. It takes like two people to put someone into one of those shirts.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes, yeah, you need two or three guys. My husband actually competes in the geared
Oh,
powerlifting division. So, um, there are quite a few women that have started taking that on. And actually, I recently started throwing on some squat briefs just to
okay.
feel it out. And it's pretty exciting. I used to kind of be against it in a way because I was just like, well, you have the suit doing all the work for you. Um, but no, I mean, it's really just ultra compression at that point. So it's just letting your body push to a whole other level. Do I want to maybe compete in that? I don't think so because I've seen it, just putting it on. Like a lot of those guys are just tired before they even get to the platform to lift. Like,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, so you compete in raw with no equipment? Is that what you do for powerlifting?
raw with wraps for squats.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what organization is that? Because I'm a little ignorant on the organizations.
Yeah, so there are a lot of powerlifting organizations. I typically do the APF, American Powerlifting, or UPA, which is United Powerlifting. And then actually later on this year, I'm registered for a WRPF meet. So
Yeah.
the two federations I normally compete in, I always choose them because I spot off of a monolift,
Yep. Oh yeah.
which so instead of walking it out, you've got the monolift,
Yeah.
which
I mean,
some people are against that and say that's not real.
you know what? People are against like everything.
Right.
Some people say you shouldn't even lift weights. You should just lift rocks and logs. That's like a caveman. Okay, whatever. Yeah. Are
Well,
you in
yeah,
a?
I mean, been told since I started bodybuilding that you can't power lift or, you know, these girls don't squat. And I'm like,
Well,
how
yeah.
do
I
you build
mean,
muscle density without adding some
well, so
weight
that's a
like
good
that?
segue because you're a figure champion. You've won the Chicago Pro. You've been to the Olympia. You obviously have a very aesthetic physique with the V taper and all that they like. So we do hear people say, you shouldn't do the power lifts, especially squats and deadlifts. You're going to thicken up your core. Your midsection is going to get huge. You're not going to have a very aesthetically pleasing physique. So is that complete BS?
I I totally believe so. I think like you look at a power lifter that doesn't do any bodybuilding and you maybe think that way because well, they're not training for their physique. They're just training for a 1 rep max. But if you just live your life like a bodybuilder, essentially, you're still going to maintain a good physique. There's really nothing with like squatting that is going to make your waist boxier. I just don't really know how, that happens. And then it's like, okay, when I'm done training my squats, then I'm getting on the leg press, the leg extensions, and I'm doing bodybuilding work from there on out.
So, you've done very well in figure, but the one thing about the physique competitions is it's judged all of them bodybuilding. I call it all bodybuilding, whatever the division is. I just call it bodybuilding. It's
Yeah,
judged more like a beauty pageant, like a panel of judges subjectively deciding, who looks better based on certain characteristics. But powerlifting, I know sometimes they might argue with oh, they didn't give me the green light or the red light or whatever. But it seems like powerlifting is a lot more cut and dried. You get the lift or you don't get the lift. Is it more rewarding in
exactly.
that aspect that you don't have to wonder, oh, I don't know why that girl beat me or something? You get beat or you beat people based on how much weight you're lifting, right?
Right. And the great thing is too, is really if you're walking into a powerlifting meet, you're just looking to beat yourself too. I'm going in to beat a previous number that I've had. I don't know who's going to show up. So, maybe if it's another girl in my weight class that's squatting 800 pounds, so be it.
Oh,
Like,
wow.
well, that's not going to, I
I
don't
gotta
think
see
that's
that.
ever happened, but
I gotta see that.
um, yeah, so it is definitely like you can walk away from a meet even if for some reason you were dead last, but you just had your best performance yet. You're not going to feel like you lost because
Yeah.
you did exactly what you trained to do.
Are,
So,
are your lifts still going up? Like every year they get a little bit better? You're still very young.
yeah, yeah, still they're kind of still slowly creeping up there. I feel like in powerlifting too, same with powerlifting and bodybuilding, it's once you get into like your early 30s, mid 30s, that's when you really start to kind of peak. So I've still got a little bit of time to
Oh yeah. I
keep
mean,
getting those numbers up.
yeah. Do you hold any records right now?
Um, I technically do. I've just never submitted my forms, but in Illinois, I do. I have beaten all of the squat, bench, and deadlift just for
Oh,
the Illinois state total. Um, but again, those really haven't been so important to me. Again, it's just showing up, and
yeah. Well, I mean,
so I really at any time I could just submit that form and have my name on the little spreadsheet. But
I think powerlifting's always been pretty big in Illinois. Is that where Ed Cohn is from?
yep,
Yeah. I have Quads
yeah,
Gym. There's been Quads Gym, I think was a big one that produces a lot of powerlifters and bodybuilders in Chicago.
yeah.
Are you in Chicago or are you way far away from Chicago?
I'm in the suburbs,
Okay.
so I'm about 10 miles from the heart of downtown. So I've been to
Okay.
quads quite a few times. There's a few other gyms in the city, like Lance's gym, that has been known for just that old school powerlifting. And then there's quite a few in the area. Yeah, it's pretty big around here.
You're way closer than where the first time I went to Chicago Pro, I was in a cab for about an hour. I'm like, this is nowhere near Chicago. This Tinley Park place
No,
is very far away. How dare they even
yeah,
call it Chicago Pro?
there's nothing there. So it's all these people, oh, cool, I'm going to go to Chicago. No, you're not. Like,
No, no, I never saw Chicago. But so yeah, let's talk about how you got into figure because at some point, either you must have noticed or someone else noticed that your physique was taking on a look that was very different, above average with the typically, especially in figure, you have to have the wide clavicles, the wide upper back, the small waist, the flaring quads. When did you realize that you had that going for you?
it was really just kind of in the gym when I was getting started and just bodybuilding training, weight training, I was getting some attention. People are like, do you compete? Do you compete? And I didn't even really know what that meant when people were kind of saying it. And I was kind of meeting some other girls that were into it. And then I just kind of started researching it a little bit. And of course, bikini was the first thing I thought of because that's what all the girls initially kind of want to start with, but I didn't really like the look. I really liked actually the women's physique look, but that
Mm,
was a little intimidating, just starting off because I was like, they just seem really big.
Mm.
And I really then looked at figure and I was like, okay, this is a nice little middle ground of what I like, where I think I am. And then just the overall presentation of what it is. I feel like each division has a personality to it. And that just seemed fitting and comfortable to me.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think I like really it was just kind of fate. Like I just fell right into it.
Mm.
I did one show and I said I was never going to do it again. And
Yeah.
something in me said we got to do it again. And I kept going. And I just kept growing along with the figure division. Because I remember when I started, the coach I had at the time said, "You'll probably grow out of this division, need to go to physique." And times have changed.
Yeah. I mean,
Definitely.
the divisions all seem to be sort of bikini is still bikini. I don't see too many bikini women that
Yeah,
I say she should be in this division or that division. But figure, I see a lot of women in figure that would do pretty well in women's physique.
yeah,
Some shows I've been to, I would have taken some of the women in the figure and they would have done better than some of the women in the physique class. And then physique is sort of almost bodybuilding at this point. So that's natural
right.
progression. And then you got wellness.
Yeah.
I'm still not 100% sure what wellness is, to be honest with you. Big legs, bigger legs. It's like figure with a bigger
Yeah.
lower body, basically, right? Yeah.
Yeah, bigger lower body than the smaller upper body. They look really cool backstage though. I really wasn't too sure about it until like I saw some of those pro girls and I was like, oh dang, those are some legs. Like
Did you ever think, because it's already so popular, it's only been around a couple of years. Did you ever think about building up your legs a little more and transitioning?
no.
No.
I don't I mean, see, that's the thing. I've always been critiqued. I've always had bigger legs and a smaller upper body. I've always been trying to get my upper body to match that.
Mm.
Maybe if wellness was around 8 years ago when I started, it would have been something that would have been like kind of more pushed towards me. But once it came out, I just knew like it's not really what I want to do.
Mm.
To me, bodybuilding is about symmetry too, and I want to train my whole body. And
Yeah.
some of them have to train legs 3, 4 days a week, and that just sounds so boring.
I mean, I know some wellness competitors. It seems like that's all they train. I mean,
Yeah,
every time I see them in the gym, that's they're doing legs and glutes again, or it's quad and glute day, or it's quad and ham day. It's always something like that, or glutes are
right.
always in there somewhere. But okay, so figure you've done this very very well. You won the overall at the junior nationals, which there must have been about 200 women in the show that competing in figure that year. I'm guessing.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, that was huge. And actually back then it was still in Chicago, so that was close to home.
Oh,
And that
okay.
was my first national show too.
Wow.
So just went right in and got it. Yeah.
Jeez, good job. And then, so pro shows, you've only done four, it looks like, but you've done very well. So 2021 Orlando, fourth place, Chicago, 2021, second place. And then you come back and win that the next year, 2022, when it wasn't in Atlanta, it was actually in Illinois this time, which is good. So what was it like? You must have had a ton of friends and family in the audience. It must have been a great experience.
Oh yeah. I mean, it was incredible. I had never felt just more relaxed going into a show than I did for the Chicago Pro last year. I mean, I had a good like a section of at least 30 people that were there just for me. And then plus anybody local that was just coming to see the pro show was cheering for me too because they know me from, all the gyms around here. So yeah, it was awesome.
And a few
I'll
months
say.
later, you were part of the largest Olympia weekend in history. There were over 400 athletes competing. It went on till like 1:30 in the morning. I think we were there till. Uh, it must have been just an overwhelming experience because you picked. You didn't know you were walking to that Olympia. Nobody really did until we all got there. What was that
Yeah.
experience like? It must have been crazy.
Yeah, it was overwhelming. So I went from being really relaxed at Chicago to being completely overwhelmed a little bit in Vegas. It still was pretty incredible, though. I mean, I got to just being in the athletes meeting, sitting next to some of these women that I followed since before I even got into bodybuilding, and I've just admired them. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute, we're the same now,
That's right. Well,
essentially.
you're all trying to beat each other now. Yeah. So
Right.
we know Sydney is what, 5-time Olympia champ at this point?
6.
6? Wow. So she's obviously
Yeah.
one of the greatest. Who are some of the other ones that you think are represent the ideal for figure right now that are competing?
I'd say Natalia Soltero, like she's just always had such a great physique to me. Jessica Reyes, I mean, I've really liked her because she's just got that really dense, full muscle. And then like Wendy Fortino, I've just followed her and just loved her for years. And I don't know how to really say her name, but Bojana,
Oh yeah, yeah. Nobody does. No, Boyana is
Boyana.
her last name. Ah, Chris is gonna kill me. Chris Menace. Boyana. What's Chris's wife, girlfriend, whatever. Yeah, what the hell's her
Mm,
last name? I know who you mean. She's Serbian. Bojana, beautiful woman.
right.
Um, so what's it like? Because you're getting messages and emails and stuff from young women who you're inspiring, and they look up to you and they want to be like you. What's it like? Because a couple of years ago, not long ago, you were an amateur. Now you're at the Olympia level, and you have young women hitting you up for advice, inspiration, motivation. It must be a trip.
It really is. I mean, even after my pro debut, I was a little surprised at how much response I got right away. And at first, it was just a little bit overwhelming because I hadn't fully grasped, I still really haven't fully grasped everything that I've accomplished. It's all just kind of been this whirlwind. I can't believe I've made it this far. So in the beginning, it was a little bit like, why are you talking to me, or why
Yeah.
am I inspiring? But um and now it's just like something to keep me going, because at the same time I'm up against these women that I've been following for years, and again, I feel the same way kind of towards them as some of these other girls are feeling towards me. um and so you just want to kind of keep up that positive role model, like, hey, I did it too, just keep going, and yeah, it just kind of keeps me a little bit more motivated. Like, this person wants you to do well, you deserve this. And yeah, so
Was
that's
was it
really
was it tough getting used to people wanting to take pictures with you when you go out to the shows and the expos?
that wasn't so weird. It's what's more weird is outside of like expos and the gym. I noticed, and it's not even that these people know I'm a pro, but it was kind of after turning pro and just going anywhere, somebody stopping you and being like, you look unreal. And I'm just like, I'm just going to the grocery store, and um,
So
yeah,
you're off season now. When you go to the grocery store now, you probably don't get that level of attention. But I'm guessing contest condition with the striations and the veins and everything. That's when people just gravitate toward you and want to ask questions. And wow, what do you do? Do you get way more attention when you're super lean?
yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah,
And that kind of messes with you a little bit too, because it's just like, well, I only look like this for a short amount of time. And
yeah.
and everybody's like, well, what are you buying at the grocery store? And I'm like, you don't need to know. Don't worry
Yeah,
about it.
yeah, because random people will say, I want to lose weight. What should I do? And then, they're not going to do what you do. They're not going to eat the way you eat. They're not going to go to the gym the way you go to the gym. So,
Right. They're gonna go down the ho-ho aisle right after they're done talking
exactly,
to me. So
exactly.
that's
Donuts.
all right.
All right. So let's
Yeah.
talk about you're with MuscleMeds, great company, known Gerard Dente for many years. How did you become part of MuscleMeds?
So I've been with MuscleMeds, I guess, almost 2 years now, and they did initially reach out to me to start partnering with them. But what was really cool is that was the first protein powder I've ever actually bought. And I mean, we're talking 10, 12 years ago almost.
Which one was it? Which one was it that they have at that time? Which
They
protein
still
powder?
had it was still carnivore.
Carnivore.
I'm looking up I have a poster of a old athlete actually. I mean that magazine is about 10 years old and yeah, it was still carnivore back
Okay.
then.
Yeah.
So
Probably Kai
yeah,
in the picture, Kai Green or something. But so
that's what it is.
I mean
Wasn't sure if I could say that.
he was with them for a very long time. He had the red suits and everything. What are the products you use every day and how do you use them? Like when do you take them?
So right now I pretty much have a carnivore RTD just about every day. That's the regular ready to drink. And I usually just choose that over my regular carnivore because it's just ready to go and I just grab it and I don't have a shaker cup to wash at the end of the day. Um, and so I use, and right now I'm using the creatine and BCAAs intra workout. The stem tropin I've been taking for a few months now. That's the stem cell growth hormone activator. I take that at night, and that's been helping me just sleep amazing and
Mm,
just overnight recover better.
yeah.
Um, and then also, like I throw in a lot of the lean meal from time to time because that's just a quick way to get in 40 grams of protein, 40 grams of carbs just right off the bat. Yeah.
Mm.
But main go-to is carnivore of protein of some sort, usually the RTD and then creatine,
What about
BCAAs.
do you use a pre-workout of theirs?
No, I don't use that one because it has the test booster in it.
Oh, okay.
So
Gotcha.
yeah, I
Gotcha.
haven't really done asked them too much about that, what it would do, but
Well, it's a test booster, and you probably don't want a lot of extra testosterone, so that makes sense.
right.
So I'm
Yeah.
curious, when you mentioned the stem tropin and stem cells, that leads me to wonder because you do train so heavy, you're so strong. Do your joints all feel good still? Are you starting to get any aches and pains yet?
Not yet. I'd actually say they hold up. They've been holding up pretty well. It's usually if I'm training for a powerlifting meet, it's kind of like the last 6 weeks of training that I'm really just feeling it and hurting. But I really don't have much joint issue. It's just all tight
Good.
and
Oh,
muscle
that's good.
stiffness. So
Good not to be injured. So I
yeah.
getting back to your training. So you're training for different sports at different times of the year, but when you're training for powerlifting, do you still incorporate a lot of the bodybuilding movements, the isolation movements, or do you only focus on what you need to the power lifts and the assistance exercises for those?
It's still very much power building, essentially what I do. So I will start off my training with squats, bench, or whatever. Usually there's one other movements, like from benching, go into an incline press that might be heavy, whatever. And then as soon as I'm done with that, though, isolation movements, hitting triceps, shoulders, whatever, just like I would for a bodybuilding show. Yeah.
So we're speaking right now toward the end of June 2023. What do you have in store? What do you have planned as far as powerlifting and figure competitions for the rest of this year?
So this year's looking like a lot of powerlifting for me,
Mm,
actually.
okay.
Um, and right after the Olympia, I kind of wasn't too sure with just mentally what I was up for.
Mm,
So I've just been taking the past few months of this year, still just going about training the way I normally do. And I randomly just entered into a competition that's next month. Just
wow.
gonna kind of wing it. And then I got an invite to a professional meet in October.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, all right, it kind of just seems like the universe is throwing me towards powerlifting right now. So I'm going to work on that. And I think figure shows might be kind of put on hold maybe after the Olympia this year. So,
If you're going to do Chicago, it's like a few weeks away. So you're not doing that again, probably. I
right.
was going to think. Yeah, because now they took the point system away. And it didn't matter. You won your way to the Olympia with you got to win to get there. But yeah, you would have to go back and qualify with a win the next time you want to get to Olympia, which I assume you want to get back there. As
Oh,
crazy as it was.
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. As crazy as it was, but now that I know what I'm kind of up against and what to expect, it's like we can do it better.
Mm.
Um, and it'll just go better. I won't be so nervous and uncertain the next time around. Um, but yeah, definitely taking the point system away, I think is a great move. But still mentally that thing in the back of your brain, you're like, oh my gosh, I have to win.
Yeah.
I still feel like you should, but it still messes with you a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they had to do something. 400 athletes was it was just
I
ridiculous.
mean,
That's
it
too many
was,
people.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
were you part of that backstage cramped in a sardine? Everyone was saying there's just too many people, there's too much humanity. There was like nowhere to situate yourself.
Yeah,
Plop
there
yourself down
really
to.
wasn't, yeah, like they had a great section for the pump up room, but like I didn't even go in it
Mm,
because there were just too many people around it.
yeah.
Just stuck with my bands like normal. Um, yeah, and then there was also a time limit on how long we can do our individual routine. That kind of sucks a little bit. Like your
Yeah.
time there, and I timed out. I still kept going, but
Were there, I think you had 60 women in your division.
40.
Oh, it was only 40. Oh, that's nothing.
Yeah. Yeah,
You know,
bikini, I think bikini was like 60 or 70 or something. And it's like, how are you even going to be seen at that point?
classic physique, the same thing. They had 59 guys. Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. So you'll skipping the Olympia this year. Gonna get stronger and stronger. Come back. Yeah. That's it's cool that you have both of these things going on because I could see how somebody could get burnt out on one or the other and then not have anything else to really keep them going. But you can do powerlifting until you're like, I don't want to, I think I'll take a break from this. And then you could go back to figure and you could keep doing that for 10 more years, maybe.
For as long as, yeah, as long as I want to. And I mean, that's really saved me because it's really hard to come off of a competition season in bodybuilding and kind of go backwards. It's not as cool when you're just gaining your weight back. And so if you're just kind of focused on numbers, then
Well, it
it's
also,
always,
I don't know if you deal with this. A lot of competitors have that sort of postpartum depression after a contest where,
yep,
you look perfect for that one day. And then it only takes a couple weeks of eating like a normal human being again to lose a lot of that. People like, they were gearing up for that one day that you dieted and did all that, everything led up to that one day. And then the day's over and like, oh no, now what do I do with myself? But you have this powerlifting thing. You could say, I got this meet in 6 weeks. I'm going to get ready for that.
right.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it's always been great. And I feel like doing that too has just helped build my physique even more. So it's a win-win.
Yeah. So, what would you say to the aspiring figure competitors out there, or the amateurs who maybe they're shied away from these things, squats, deadlifts, bench press, because they've been told, no, you can't train like that. That's going to make you big and blocky and bulky looking. You're never going to be a great figure competitor if you do that. And then we have Julia.
Right. I mean, I've done it. I've always done it. And, it's just not true. And the heavier you lift, just the more your muscles are just going to grow and be denser. Like it's what is going to set you apart from somebody else. Somebody could have the shape, but then when it comes down to dialing it in and getting lean, then you're really going to see who's worked those muscles and who's just kind of shaped them. You know what I mean? Um, so lifting heavy is how you're going to grow. You're not going to really grow on 10, 15, 20 reps. You grow by adding weight. So do it, and it's fun and it's empowering. And
It's probably nice to be as strong as you look because a lot of bodybuilders we're not as strong as we look. A lot of them because people see these guys and like, oh, he must bench press 600 pounds or he must squat 800 pounds. And most bodybuilders they can't get anywhere near those numbers. But it's just repetitions and isolation exercise have built the muscles up. Whereas you have both, unlike Ronnie Coleman, where you look strong and you are strong, which is it's a rare thing. It really is.
yeah, it's be able to use what you're working on, do something with it.
I hope you don't have everyone asking you to help them move. you know, when people are moving.
Oh, yeah, no, I do usually or whatever.
It's the worst. All right, cool. Well, Julia, it's been really cool getting to know you. Wish you the best with the powerlifting, everything you're doing with MuscleMeds. Continued success with that. It's kind of a bummer for your fans that they're not going to see you on a figure stage this year, but guys, there's always another year. It's time flies.
It's
You'll
gonna
see
be
her
even
again soon.
better the next time. You never know what I'm gonna do though, so we'll see. But
Cool. Well, excellent talking with you guys. Guys and girls, check her out on Instagram at jchamp29 underscore IFBB underscore pro. We'll put that up on the screen. Give her a follow. Check out her progress. Do you have a YouTube channel too?
I do not
Okay, well, that's
actually.
next. Do that
That's
next.
next.
Cool. All right. Well, this has been Ronline Report with Julia DiPompeo, professional figure athlete in the IFBB Pro League and professional powerlifter, MuscleMeds athlete. Thanks, guys, for watching. We'll see you next time. Hey, did you like that video? Smash that like button, subscribe to MD, and please comment down below. Thanks for watching.